Right, I am back to talk about finding inspiration. And now this is a bit of a mixed video because in the last few finding inspiration videos, which went down so well and were really popular, I was sharing my whole method around how I find inspiration, where I get it from, how I store it, how I start using it. And that is one part of the whole creative process. But what it showed me is how structured my method is and actually how helpful that structured method can be for other people. Now, if you've watched the first two Finding Inspiration ones, if you haven't, do go watch them. But at the end of part 2, I said the next step in my creative process is all around cutouts. Now, what I did say at the end was either I'll do a separate video on cutouts, or we have a virtual course that covers everything about cutouts. We cover it all in our freestyle embroidery, so go watch that. Since then, we've been doing a lot of work in the studio because we do have this great virtual course which covers everything about cutouts, but it covers it all in relation to embroidery, whereas actually a lot of the comments we've been getting on all the videos are from people working in loads of other mediums. And actually so many stages of my creative process apply regardless of medium, and I know that for a fact because I work both in embroidery and painting. So what we've actually done is we've gone ahead and produced an entirely new course. And this new course is made up of 12 modules. It's probably like 2.5 hours long. And it covers everything in more detail about finding inspiration, but it covers loads of other things as well, from all different ways I choose colour palettes, because there is a method to choosing colour, absolutely, to everything about how you play with composition, how you translate designs into a finished piece, how you think about framing that finished piece, what are the framing considerations, what are the ways you test it. You know, various different things that make up an overall design. And as we started producing that, then it went further. I wanted to be able to give you the tools so you can break out every step of the process and you feel like you're supported, whether that's because you're already a creative and you actually just want to have a go at trying to push out of your comfort zone and maybe see what that does to your existing process, or maybe you're new to creativity, you're new to creating your own designs, and you actually just want someone to kind of make it feel less intimidating, because being creative and coming up with your own designs and finding your own creative voice is uncomfortable. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you a clip from one of the videos, which is the bit about cutouts, because I do appreciate I rather left you all hanging slightly at the end of the last video when I mentioned cutouts and then have not shown you anything since then. So I'm going to show you that section of the video and then I'm going to bring you back to me, and I want to talk to you about how that video is forming part of a wider platform. The other way to do it, if you're not sure about just going headlong into composition, is to use cutouts. Now I want to show you here in my folder, I've got loads of cutouts of shapes I've quite liked over time. I could go and take a load of these cutouts, so I could just say, right, I'm going to play with this lion, and maybe I'll just take the little bird. I'm going to come through, I'm going to take this as just a wiggle on the border. I'm going to go through my motifs. I might take this tree, and maybe I'll take a bird as well, just in case I've got space. So I could say I'm going to take a load of my cutouts. Again, I'm going to get my frame shape that I'm using, and I'm just going to lay things out within the space. So I could say, right, I'm going to have a go, put a tree in there, and look, my tree's a bit too big, but there's nothing wrong with that. Tree goes in, maybe a lion into the space. Might have this bird coming across, and actually, to be honest, maybe and then there's really no space for this little bird go in. I could have a bird over the top, but I don't really need it. You know, I can then just compose a design really quickly using previously cut out things. So the way you would approach a composition in this manner is, I really recommend using coloured paper for your cutouts, because I think it just enables you to have a bit more character when you start laying elements together and getting a feel for what they look like. Now, I really recommend these packs of pastel paper, because they come in just a pack of coloured papers that all complement each other quite well. And it genuinely just makes you feel a bit better about the design you're creating, if you can then, when you combine them together, feel like they all suit one another. So, say I wanted to do something like, I want to add one of these cutouts that I've got here to my collection of cutouts. Say it could be this tree here. All I do is I cut out the shape from my paper that I just did, grab my pack of coloured paper, and then I'm just going to tape this to the coloured paper, and I'm just going to cut it out. When you're cutting out the paper, the thing is you are limited by the scissors, and so you can't cut out really precisely, and I want to show those sort of shapes at the end. So you end up creating a cutout that's again a further iteration of the original drawing you did, which actually could end up resulting in some really interesting things because you're now getting so far away from the original inspiration for the design. So then we have a cutout, this little one, this little tree here, and that could be something that just goes into my folder. It goes into my folder and I'm not sure when I'm going to use it, but then I just start having a folder of loads of random cutout shapes. Or ones like this, you can tell I've done by doing a fold. And I basically, when I've cut it out, I've just taken a mirror image of the shape and I've just cut it out, like you would if you were, childhood doing a snowflake, say. So by having this whole bank of motifs there, you can so quickly just suddenly come up with a design. And actually, if you don't even worry about this stage, you don't worry about how you're going to end up using this tree. Just know at some point you probably are going to use it. It's a way, again, of building up a whole process, building up a whole structure, without feeling any of the intimidation of, but what am I using it for? What you'll end up finding is that certain motifs repeat throughout your creations. So if I go back to my folder, oh handy, and open up this page, I have this elephant here. And now let me just show you around me all the different designs of mine that feature this exact elephant, this shape of an elephant. And I'm not ashamed of the fact I've used this same motif multiple times. I think that's part of what creates you a style. That's part of what gives your work its identity, is the repetition of motifs. So by working from a cutout, you can end up having this wonderful repeating motif throughout your work that starts to give you a signature aesthetic. So that's one of the other reasons why I really advocate for using the cutout motifs technique. It's one of the reasons why I have such a characteristic figure shape throughout all my designs. I always use the same kind of figure. Okay, you're back with me again. So that video sort of showed you how I go about creating cutouts and using those cutouts as reference points to use within loads of designs. And here, in this big stack here, are absolutely tons of these cutouts. And these cutouts I've been using for ages, and we use across loads of different designs, and you cut it out once, you use it for years. It's such a valuable thing. But the reason I'm bringing you back to me is I want to explain how this all becomes relevant, and if you are interested in this whole approach to coming up with your designs, what we're building, that I think you will find interesting. So in January, end of January next year, we're going to be launching the Makerspace, and I know that's a long lead time, but the reason it's such a long lead time is that I'm building it right now, and then next Friday we have 150 trial members joining the platform, and they are going to help shape it. So what we want the platform to be is basically a hub of creativity and to take the fear out of creating by giving you the tools for every single step of the process. So every single part of, say, a virtual course we do, whether that's our decorative painting, whether that's our freestyle embroidery, our starting to stitch one, or the new creativity method course that the cutouts video is part of, all of those are going to be on the platform alongside loads of supporting materials. So I'm building out right now, and I've been building out lots. So I'm going to show you what we're building, because whilst this isn't complete yet, and it's going to be very different in January in terms of we'll have loads more on it, I think this is going to give you a really good indication of what we're creating. So basically, the whole idea of the Makerspace platform is it's a place where you have a community of different makers, creatives, all of which are on this journey to finding your own creative voice and starting to create your own designs. Whether that is in embroidery, collage, painting, ceramics, whatever, these same principles of how you choose a colour or what kind of inspiration you want to use within your piece, they apply regardless of medium. So within it, it's a community where you can communicate with other people, you can have events, you can meet different people, but in addition we have our virtual courses. So I have so far sort of uploaded one of them, but you can see we have our virtual courses which cover loads of different things. And so within each of these virtual courses, you have videos that kind of walk you through every single step of the creative process. So you get access to all of that. Then the bit which I think is really exciting is the resource bank we're building. And the resource bank we're building is like mega. So you have in here, say, I've literally just started uploading a few bits, but we are going to give all of our cutout templates to you, because I genuinely think a cutout template like this will, as much as I may have created the shape, you will choose what to do with it. And once you take it into your own medium, you do what you want with it, it will completely transform and it become your own. So I'm giving you all our cutouts. And so we've started creating compositions from cutouts to show you, exactly as that video was just then, the way in which you can start using cutouts to start coming up with compositions. And then you also can take this picture and you can go and look at it and you can think, right, I love the shape of that boat, so I'm going to use that boat. So we are creating this massive cutout library. We are then also creating a motif library, because I talk about it on some of the later videos within the creativity method course, the course which the cutouts video is part of. We have been creating loads of motifs, because I think motifs, whether that's used within embroidery or whether that's used within framing, I think it is a way of making designs pull together, feel harmonious. So we have started building this motif bank of motifs we use throughout our work, and motifs I think you'll like, and whether you choose to use these exactly as they are, or you use them kind of little segments of them, or maybe they just inspire something else you're doing, that's the hope, is it's inspiring. The sections then, the story bank, which isn't filled out here, but I want to show you what we're doing, is we are bringing together loads of stories, kind of poems, fairy tales, nursery rhymes, you know, everywhere, linking through to original sources. So anything that kind of we think could inspire you in a design, because I do think storytelling is the heart of good designs, we are bringing in so that you easily just have one place to reference. And that is just getting started. You know, the bits we haven't built out yet are all the different kind of inspiring places, and that will be all these museum archives, all the ones I talk about in Finding Inspiration, any auctions we find, they're all going to go on there. And then we're going to be doing these sort of challenges that you can choose to take part in. So it could be quarterly challenges or monthly challenges that push you out your comfort zone, but you can do it alongside other makers. As you can probably tell, I'm really excited about this, because I think everything I care about goes beyond just getting people to do an embroidery kit. I love that you start with an embroidery kit, but I want you to find your own voice, because I think that's where your real pride will come from, where you create your own signs. That's when you'll be most passionate. And also, we've been running our membership now for the last year as it is, and whilst it goes down really well and people have been really enjoying it, it's very UK centric, whereas I know most of our customers nowadays are actually not UK based. We have tons in the US, Australia, and I want a way for you to feel like you're part of the studio despite the fact you are not in London. So that's what I think we're building through this. If you're interested in it, I know it's a long way away, next January, but if you're interested, I'm going to put a link below this video to sign up to the waiting list. And I'm going to share a bit as we go along, because when all the trial community join, I think it's going to be really interesting to see what their reaction is to everything, to see what they start using, and then I will build it around them. So I hope you found this useful, and I hope you're excited, because I am.